Hey, audit and fraud friends and family. Welcome to another episode of the Friday Fraudster. Listen, I got a question. I always have a question, don't I? You ever notice how things designed to make life easier slowly make us stop paying attention? You know, you got your bills on auto pay, you got saved passwords, you have those apps that remember your whole life for you. So sometimes we stop checking and then we assume that the system is just working like it's supposed to. But what happens when the thing you stop checking was exactly where trouble started? Hang on because, well, I say this every week. This one is crazy. You ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right, friends. So you heard the question that I asked. What happens when that thing that you relied on suddenly doesn't work like it used to? You know, let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. Um, I had an American Express card that was tied to my electric bill, and every month I had to go to that American Express so that I could get the points, right? And then each month I would turn around and pay the bill off. Well, one month I got real busy. It was like November, December around Christmas time, and I didn't notice that the charge didn't come through for the power bill. Everything else on the American Express came through, and I remember when I paid it, I just looked at the amount. I was like, "Oh, that's reasonable." So I just paid it. Then the second month came through, didn't charge power bill, and I'm sitting here looking, and I'm like, "Oh, well, you know." So next thing you know, it didn't come through. So then I realized I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You know what? I've got to go and now look and pay that bill because the system that was supposed to work didn't work. And what ended up happening was my credit card expired. And so when the credit card expired, now, well, that bill is no longer being paid. So the question I asked earlier, how many times have you relied on something to work, but it didn't work the way that you expected it to? You thought this thing was going to work, but it didn't work the way that you expected it to. And joining us today as we talk about another fraud case, Christine, what's happening?
Talk about things supposed to working like you were. My reminder that we were on a little bit later today. Sorry.
All right, so check this out. Welcome to the Friday Fraudster. This is the program where we just take fraud stories from the news and we just talk about them. We talk, here's what happened, here's what went right, here's what went wrong, here's how it could have been prevented. And so here we are on the Friday Fraudster. We're 45 minutes late today, but here's why. I scheduled it late because I had training this morning. I was doing a training course this morning for another group, and it was an all-day session. All right, so Christine, okay.
Yes.
Here's a question I asked. Have you ever relied on something that was supposed to be working one way and you used it for a while and all of a sudden it just stopped working the way that it was supposed to work?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of things. I've been around for a long time and technology has gradually progressed. I feel like there's a lot of times I get little glitches and stuff on my laptop at the most inopportune times. Um, Yeah, I can't think of anything specific, but then I sit here and go, maybe I should be thankful because that means I wasn't too perturbed by something not working. What about you? I heard you talking about credit cards or something before I hopped on.
Yeah, I was just talking about how I had this automatic payment set up for my power bill through the Amex, and then the card expired, and so it no longer got charged to the Amex. And next thing you know, I was like a month behind, and I didn't even recognize it because I was just paying the Amex bill, and I assumed that it was still charging the power bill. So, things like that happen all the time. But what happens when somebody discovers a glitch in the system and then they decide to commit fraud?
We see that all the time.
That never happens, does it?
As soon
No,
as you say that, I think of ATMs. Wasn't there just
ooh,
another ATM glitch that happened?
I don't know. Was there another ATM glitch?
I'm gonna have to look. I feel like there
Well, and
was.
that's the thing that's funny about it, right? Because they called this thing a glitch when it was just fraud. There was no freaking glitch.
I
It was a
love like
freaking fraud.
when you said glitch, I'm like, what? His brain?
Right. Exactly. But no, that's what the younger generation called it. They called it a glitch. They called it an ATM glitch. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, right?
Was that earlier this year? Or was that 2004?
That was a few years ago. It was the Chase Bank glitch, and then they posted about it all on TikTok, and it was just a crazy thing. But today, today, let's just get right into it. Today, we begin in 2016 with Lester T. Jones, and he joined the Atlanta Hawks, the basketball team, the organization as the director of financial planning and analysis. Over the next several years, he got promotions because I guess he was good at what he did. And in 2018, he became the VP. And by 2021, he was the senior vice president of finance. And he was responsible for the franchise's corporate credit cards, their expense system, and also for financial reporting. And now we've seen this before though, Christine. When people rise in the ranks, what's some things you usually got to look out for, right? There's some things that typically happen that aren't that great, you
When
know?
you what do you mean? As you rise in the ranks, there's things that don't make sense or
Oftentimes there are things that don't make sense because you still have what a lot of access to things that you had before that you may not need now.
correct. So that might I can that's what Bob was saying. Yeah, so as you level up in especially in finance or anything that has to do with money, as you level up in an organization, your capabilities or access controls should start to diminish because you shouldn't be in those day-to-day transaction types and stuff like that. So one red flag is if you go into an organization and certain individuals have system or core access capabilities, that's usually a red flag that you should probably look at those controls.
Yeah, isn't it? Now, Bob is saying that somebody was just sentenced for the Chase Money glitch. There were a few people that were convicted for it, though, right? Yeah, there were quite a few people. Okay, so now back to our story for today. Now, by 2018 to 2024, uh, Lester Jones's access expands. He now has the authority to issue and approve the corporate American Express card. He also manages the card holders. He also oversees late payments and card discipline. Now, until July of 2024, the Hawks reimbursement platform, it didn't integrate with the actual card transaction data. And so he ended up using that for his own benefit. So what that meant was accounting staff checking expense reports couldn't reliably match a claim, an expense claim, to the actual card charges. And prosecutors are saying that Jones exploited that gap. Just like you were saying, you go up in the ranks and you still have the ability to do things that you shouldn't have the ability to do, right?
Was his access even granted wider? Is that what you were saying with him being able to like add users to the corporate credit card? Like
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
we have an approval process for that. We have limits. But it's kind of sitting here like, okay, and I'm a little behind on the story. Like, what did he like? Did he add individuals outside of the organization onto the corporate credit card?
Oh, he did a little better than that. Okay.
All right.
So in January of 2025, here's one example of something that he did. He allegedly altered an email from American Express to make it appear as though the corporate account would be suspended unless a payment of $229,000 was made for a supposed team event at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. He then submitted a bogus invoice and got reimbursed despite there being no charge for that.
I'm just wondering how that is. Because for me, I'm sitting here and thinking he altered an email. He sent that email into AP, right? That it would be suspended unless a payment made for a team event. He submitted the invoice. How did he obtain reimbursement? Why did AP not send that directly to American Express through, like, they should have an ACH set up for that.
Right, they should, but he had it routed to
Unless,
himself.
okay. Okay, he submitted, okay, so the bogus invoice. So right here, number one, if you have American Express, I'm guessing you have one account with them, or your accounts are already pre-set up. Like, how did AP not go? Why do we have a new account number? Why is this not pre-set up? Number one, as part of our vendor management, because now your AP should know who they're paying. Sorry. This is just like I'm sitting here going, okay, red flag right there.
Right.
Unless he used his personal card and he was getting a personal expense reimbursement, but that's large.
Oh, he wasn't
And
getting
who
a
has to sign off
reimbursement.
on that?
He signed
Yeah.
off on it.
There's
Yeah.
your other red flag. The person who submits the expense should not be the person who's approving the expense. But I digress.
So by June of 2025, prosecutors allege the scheme ran from May 2017 to June of 2025. And they're saying that a total of $3.8 million was misused, misappropriated, mismanaged, missing.
Is it bad? I've never heard of these people. I never heard of this organization. I didn't know if you said it.
Oh no, the Atlanta Hawks basketball team.
Is that an
NBA? Huh?
That's an NBA team?
Yeah. You've never heard of the Atlanta Hawks. Bob is going to roast you if you say you've never heard of the Atlanta Hawks.
When were they established?
A really long time ago.
When were they established?
A really, really long time ago. The Atlanta Hawks? Uh-oh, Bob is going to roast you.
Okay, so they moved to Atlanta, Georgia back in 68. I am not going to lie. I'm like oblivious to that team. I do not know why.
What?
I'm serious. I am not lying. Like, I'm sitting here. I literally thought when you sent this was like a drop-down league. Which I don't even think the NBA has. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's not like a drop-down league like they have in the MLB. So, okay, so I'm not an NBA fan. But, like, I could sit here and tell you, like, I know, like, what is it? Our local baseball team is, like, the team that they call to play up for one of the other baseball teams. And, like, the Brewers call-up team is out of Nashville. Like, I know that stuff. How have I never heard of the Atlanta Hawks? Do they never make the playoffs? I'll stop. The hole I'm digging keeps getting deeper.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm being quiet now. This is just fun. Bob is probably gonna message me later.
Well, you know what? Maybe I don't know who they are because they have 3.8 million missing from their marketing budget. I don't know.
Bob says they're not the Bucks and not G League either.
That's it, like a G League. But I guess here's my thing, like, does that, like, I don't think the NBA has like a G League. Like, all their players come directly out of high school or college. Like, they don't have this league they need to call players up from. Oh, well, no, they do, because like we have the herd. Okay, I'm done. I'm logging off. Peace out.
This is a fraud broadcast that turned into a sports broadcast that turned into a comedy broadcast.
The more you know. I'm going to have to tell my husband because then he's going to also yell at me.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna yell at you. So now, they allege that he committed this fraud scheme and $3.8 million of misuse. The expenses include luxury trips to the Bahamas, Costa Rica, Hawaii, Switzerland, Thailand. He bought some designer bags, allegedly. From Louis Vuitton, he bought a Porsche, concert tickets, private jet travel, and all charged to the franchise.
Dang.
What do you think? All charged to the franchise, Christine. Bob said Christine is bitching.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because the Hawks have a better record than the Bucks right now. I just don't pay attention to the NBA, but I'm just shocked at how long this went on for, and I think that's the only thing that makes me think that this was able to go on for so long. Because, I mean, 3.8 million is nothing to scoff at. Like, an NBA team is going to notice if $3.8 million is missing. These people watch that money like tight. Unless did he adjust anything? Did he lie about anything on the financials? Like, was he able to conceal it? Or was he just taking so much over a long period of time nobody noticed?
So here's what they've been able to piece together. When the investigators began piecing it together, what they are saying is it wasn't that the control didn't exist. It was that they didn't talk to each other and no one was watching closely enough to notice when the shift began. So at the center of it was segregation of duties issues. So Jones wasn't just authorizing expense claims, he was also managing who received the corporate credit cards. And then he was also supervising the very system designed to verify the claims. And so every lever that would have required a second pair of hands ran through him. And so then they're saying that there was a visibility problem. So the Hawks expense system operated in its own silo and it was disconnected from the credit card data. And so when people looked to try and reconcile it, there were some mismatches there.
Yeah. Did you find the original filed complaint with the U.S. District Courts?
I didn't. I was looking for it. I couldn't find this one.
I found it.
Really? Doggone it.
Go just over halfway down that page and you'll see it. It was the original filing. Yeah, I'm looking over that. You're right. His access was just crazy.
Yeah. Well, so he had access that he shouldn't have had. He was the approval authority, he was the review authority, and to the tune of $3.8 million over a span of about 8 years was missing from the Atlanta Hawks, allegedly. Now, now, let's get into those power dynamics. He had dual roles. Again, he issued the credit cards, he approved the reimbursement, and he was supervising the very system that was meant to control everything. So the controls existed. He just had too much power and authority over those systems. It begs the question, why did they believe in him? Now, here's what I will say. When you look at these sports franchises, they have millions and millions of dollars running through them. However, their back office finance and accounting structure and infrastructure, it usually runs very, very lean.
Do you think that they do that because their seasons aren't all year long? Do you know what I'm saying? So can you run lean? Or I don't know, but you still use, this is hard for me. I'm sorry, because I don't know the structure of sports teams, as we all know. But like an example is, so you have the Atlanta Hawks, right? Do they own the stadium that they are in?
No.
Okay. So it's not like they have to worry about off-season events. Okay. So essentially your finance person is doing what? They're paying players, workers, accounting for the income that they're getting from the arena or ticket sales or directly, however that is. So I guess I could see how they could run lean, but then like you put, now you're going to have control issues. And you're not just going to be hiring any accountant because you're dealing with millions and millions and millions of dollars. So you're going to be paying these people really decent money to be running your organization from the finance side.
One would think, right?
I would think, yeah. But still, I Googled what his average salary would be, and I'm like, man, that's a good gig that you lost. Like, there are probably people that would beg to be in a finance department for a professional sports team.
Yeah, that's what I would think, right? So I imagine, okay, so let's just see if we can research about how much did he make in salary. What was he making? I'm imagining it would have to be six figures, right? Let's see. And if not, it would have to be close to it, right? So the research that I see say that as SVP of finance, his base salary is probably estimated to be between 240,000 and 300,000 per year.
He isn't buying ramen, I'm sure.
Right, right. And
Maybe
so
could
now
be.
the question becomes, how did this get caught? It got caught based on a routine audit, is what they're saying. So a routine audit caught this thing.
That's why. So then it's making me wonder, is it something? Yeah, I'm wondering if he just ended up doing something so big, because how did it take 10 years? Unless how often? I'm guessing they have to get a financial statement audit done every single year because you've got shareholders. Why would your shareholders not want an audit done?
Yeah, and here's the deal. I think you hit it on the head. I think it was because the big American Express thing for $229,000, that happened in January of this year. So I think that was the catalyst that actually exposed it all. Because here's the thing that I picked up on. They said a routine audit caught it. How routine was the audit if it took it 8 years to catch it?
Right. And what do you always audit as part of a financial statement audit? Your
Cash.
expenses. Yeah.
Expenses, yeah.
Right.
Anything going out.
Right. And here's the other thing. What corporate credit cards are more likely to get pulled as part of a financial audit? Your executive team.
Your executive, yeah.
So Was it something that it was, because how much fraud actually gets caught as part of an audit? It is low. It is severely low, is it not? So it's almost
Mhm.
like it's a luck of the draw. I am wondering, hypothetical, this is my input, my thoughts. They were looking at the corporate credit cards. They were able to see the real American Express statements. And then somebody else was looking at accounts payable, pulling larger expenses and correlating those with invoices. And they sat here and went, oh, $230,000 for the win on this month. Huh. I don't recall seeing that for their January statement. Let's go back and pull the original statement. I don't see it. What are you going to do after that, Rob? All right, we're going to look at December, November, October, and we're going to look at February, March, and April. And if they're not in there, why? I
Yep.
bet you that's what happened.
Yeah. And that's what I'm guessing. It had to be that one big expense that, tipped everyone off. And then all of a sudden, but it makes you wonder, how in the world can an NBA basketball team raking in millions of dollars have controls that are so blatantly just not good and not in touch with reality to the point where someone could steal 3.8 million over the span of 8 years? Like, I just,
Well,
yeah,
and
and Bob is saying there was a flaw in the expense reimbursement system prior to July 2024 per CBS News.
which he probably was aware of, I take it. I would hope. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was an unknown glitch that he knew about as part of his progressing. Was he aware of it when he was lower level and then started taking advantage of it?
Like that Chase Money glitch. Okay, so let's talk about the charges and the consequences. He's been indicted on one count of, guess what, wire fraud.
Oh, did I?
Um, yeah. That maximum penalty, though, is 20 years in federal prison plus forfeiture of illegally gained proceeds. Now, we can imagine that his career now is over. The Hawks must now overhaul their controls, rebuild trust with employees, fans, and sponsors.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine that blowback? And I'm not even talking reputation risk from your fans. How are you going to sit there and secure sponsors?
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right.
Like, if you were a sponsor, and I'm not saying that they would lose it, would you? Would you discontinue that? I mean, it's not that being their sponsor means that you're supporting something like that, but is that something you would worry about?
I think
Negative
so.
press?
Yeah. So now Bob is saying it did not show actual corporate credit card transactions to staff processing reimbursement. Yep.
Okay.
So they couldn't see the transactions and they were processing the reimbursements. And so he submitted this fake invoice from American Express, and they went ahead and just processed the payments without looking at the actual credit card transactions.
Yeah.
So now
Y'all, go ahead.
let's think about our bigger lessons here. So we have an NBA team who was fleeced out of allegedly approximately $3.8 million because one person had control over the entire uh, expense reimbursement and credit card processing processes, and um, created fake invoices that actually made it through accounts payable and were actually paid. So what do we think about here? There's some bigger lessons here. I think the first thing is trust is definitely not a security control. So the bigger the person's role in the organization, the more oversight that should be required. One person shouldn't have the ability to do everything that he had the ability to do. The second thing is your systems have to talk to one another, because here the expense portal and the credit card transaction system were disconnected, and that gap allowed the theft. But then the other thing is, you got to look at the culture in the organization, because people kept doing it the same way because that's how they always had done it. Like, why would you pay an invoice without any backup documentation?
Right. Can I add to the controls aspect of it? And I think it's worth stating, because you did make a good point that, maybe they run a lean finance department. Okay. There's going to be questions that come up that state, well, if we're lean, how do we do these controls? Okay, I understand it's going to be a pain. Then you need to do dual controls. There is still risk for cohesion between two individuals, but that is still a lot less risk than somebody just having all controls and just doing it themselves. So taking a look at having what type of dual controls that you can put into place for approvals, validation, anything like that. And then also look at potential QC function, quality control, or double checks of things, sampling done behind that, either internally or externally. You're bringing in, what was their net income, or they had operating income of over $203 million last year. You could probably hire one more person to help out with that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. In certain situations, you just have to call bull.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular instance, you have enough money to pay to put good controls in place.
Yeah. Now, is this one of those business case scenarios that they've always wanted to, but you got your shareholders, your stockholders, whoever that you have to pay out every single year, or whoever owns the organization? Because I know there are some people that just own these franchises. Sometimes it takes a loss like them for them to sit there and say, yeah, all right, we'll pay somebody every year to help us out with this. Sometimes it takes a loss.
Very true. Very true. I mean, if they want to pay me to have the oversight to be the internal auditor, I'll definitely do it. I'll charge you $3.8 million. No, I'll charge
Well,
you
and here,
$3.8 million.
right. And I think a lot of us that are in like the audit risk environment, there are times, depending on your organization, I want to say that I'm happy I don't have to face that. My organization takes this very seriously. Is a lot of times it's hard to ask for those extra people because we are not income generating departments. So I think essentially what it is that you need to do is you need to sell it as income saving, risk saving, regulatory saving, to help get that before something like this comes across your organization.
Bob says, he says maybe they should pick up somebody in the draft who took accounting classes.
I bet you they would. I mean, come on. Would you not work for the Atlanta Hawks?
Heck yeah, in a heartbeat.
Probably get box seats whenever you want. You get box seats whenever you want. Probably know the players by first name because your signature's on their paychecks.
Oh,
yeah, I know,
that is hilarious.
Rob's my payroll man. Just kidding.
Yeah, I'm just real curious though. So, okay. So if you just joined us today on the Friday Fraudster, again, this is the podcast where we talk about fraud. Recent headline, the Atlanta Hawks allegedly had a VP that stole allegedly $3.8 million, all because he had too much control and authority over accounts payable and credit card transactions in the organization.
Yeah. Like I said, 3.8 million is a lot of money. He did it over 10 years. They're not going to notice $380,000 missing when they're making 208 million. That's why I think you're right. It was that one credit card. I'm wondering if he started gradually getting more and more. Because that's how it happens. It escalates, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. The one thing I still can't wrap my head around each Friday when we talk about a fraud case, if you are making anywhere close to $400,000 a year, why in the world do you even need to steal?
Well, if we're looking at the current state of sports in the US, there's a part of me that I'd almost sit here and go, it's probably sports gambling. Because I feel like we're having a huge issue with that right now.
We are.
So maybe it was sports gambling. I don't know. He was just
Very
apparently on the
possible.
wrong side if he was needing the money. But maybe that's next week's episode.
All right. All right. So thank you for joining us on the Friday Fraudster. This week again, we talked about the Atlanta Hawks. $3.8 million allegedly stolen. Anything else about this one? Yeah, Bob says same issue with the NBA gambling ring. Anything else on this one, Christine?
No, but I'm an advocate again. We need to make a list and we need to come back around. And maybe you need to do like a quarterly synopsis of people getting whether they've been found guilty, not guilty, what they've got for punishment. That's just a thought.
No, it's a very good idea. Yeah.
Maybe I should just start throwing them up on my whiteboard in my office and like, I don't know, actually help instead of just showing up for an hour unprepared. Are you going to put this task on me? And then I can follow up.
Oh, you do a wonderful job. You do a wonderful job.
Call it Robert Barry's Friday Fraudster follow-up.
Ooh. Oh, you want to hear something else funny?
Yeah.
Today is episode 200.
Where are the balloons and the cupcakes and the confetti?
Oh, I'm a dude. You know we don't.
Why are we wearing black? Are we mourning getting older? I wore something bright. Well, happy 200 episode, Rob. Little sentimental. Thank you for starting this. I know you started it with, Kelly and Joe, and gradually they kind of hopped off. I kind of came on. You got Thomas, you got Stephanie. Yeah, where's Glinda? Not Glinda. I've got Wicked on my mind. Alina.
Yeah. So Carol says do it. The whole follow-up show. Carol says do it.
All right. I'm gonna wipe some stuff off my board and I will make space. I will put a reminder that I gradually will Google, and if we have a follow-up, we'll do a follow-up. Or I'll give Robert the information and he can disseminate as appropriate. No?
Oh yeah. Hey, it works for me. And again, Carol says do it.
Done and done. Awesome.
So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this week on the Friday Fraudster. We will see you next week at the regular time, 2:00 Central Standard Time. Adjust for your own time zone accordingly, because accountants can't add or do math.
Unless they have a calculator or Excel.
There you go. Exactly. So we'll see you next week.
See you. Have a great